Hi, this is us going to start building up the Financial Times frontage model. We're starting off looking at one of the connectors that go on the truss ends of the construction. So I just want to show you how you kind of make some of the components, and then we'll put it all together onto the main model. So here's the 3D form of the component. Okay, these green pins, they go through the sheets of glass and hold everything together, so each pin goes into the corner of one piece of glass. So if I just draw where the glass would be, okay, so the glass is kind of crossing over at this point. Get rid of that. So that's where the glass is crossing over. So each of these is sharing one pane of glass. Okay, so there's 4 of these make up each window pane. Okay, but how do you get to that? How do you get to that? We really need to start with some 2D drawing so we can set things in space properly. So here's 2D drawing alongside. Got the glass zone there, and then we've got this yellow disc that holds everything together, and the pins here come through the glass, so this is inside the building and this is outside. Okay, the truss connects onto this kind of a thicker, we'll call it kind of a boss at the back, and then that is then held away using a pin as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is lift this off the deck and put it in position vertically above the plan of this object. Okay, so I'll get rid of the glass, don't need to see that now, we know where the glass is. This is a setting out point, so just using 2D wireframe until I get everything in place. Just turn that into a block, so Shift Control C. Okay, it's asking me for a base point, so I'll use the center of that circle and then pick up the 2D work. I can leave that behind. Okay, flip into 3D, change to the front coordinate system, and then Shift Control V to bring it in vertically now. We'll use the center point here as the insertion point, and that should give us the relative heights that we need to move objects to, and then give them some solidity. Okay, I think I'll keep this as a block because it'll make it easy to delete it later on. Okay, let's deal with this disc first. Okay, so we just move it from its setting out position. Okay, and I'm going to move it to the middle of that line. Okay, and then I can change to the layer I've created for that, and I can extrude that by the thickness from the 2D. So having the 2D here makes things much easier to position everything. Okay, the circles here that are going to be used to create the bolts, that's a bit trickier because they're not at the base of those objects, they're kind of a bit further down and then a bit further up. So we need to establish where this point occurs below the circle. And this is where polylines come in very handy. So put the UCS back to the world, and then draw a polyline from end point here to the center of that circle. Okay, and we can now move the circles down, take all 4 of these at the same time. I'm going to move these downwards. Okay, from center here to end point here. Okay, so they're down in line with the 2D. Okay, change to the bolt layer, and I'm going to extrude those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter. by the height of the bolt. Okay, that's looking good. Give it a quick shade, just make sure things are going the way we want it. Okay, so the height from the setting out point here to the underside of that circle should be 30 millimeters. Just going to check. Distance from center to center, delta Z, change in the Z, minus 30. Spot on. You have to keep checking these things to make sure you're on the right track. So back to 2D wireframe when you're doing your modelling work. Okay, now we need this circle to be on top of the yellow disc. So use the same kind of method. Polyline from a point on this 2D to the center of that circle. Okay, so going to give me it. No, it's resisting arrest there. So we'll try that again. I'm going to press F6 to make sure dynamic UCS is off. Just make sure that's off. So PL, enter. PL, enter. From endpoint here to center. That's better. Seeing the object snap now showing up in the middle of the disc. Okay. Okay, we had a midpoint there actually. We could have just used the midpoint of that line. That's me being a bit silly. Okay, so we move now. Take that circle, enter, from its center to the end of the line I just drew, which is also the middle of that pale blue line. Okay, now it's a simple extrusion to the top of there. Okay, so that's the bolts done. We now need the boss, the thick lump that's here. Okay, I can move the circle, enter, from its center, and this time I'll be sensible and use the middle of that pale blue line. And then extrude to the height there. Now we've used circles for everything there. Okay, now that is ultimately going to generate a lot of 3D faces. Okay, you do have the option to use polygons instead. So let's say we decided that we wanted to make sure these look kind of under our control. So I've got a 16-sided polygon drawn here that's the same diameter as we've got drawn there. So I'm going to move that from its center position to the middle of this line. Okay, I'm going to extrude that instead, and extruding is going to put tops and bottoms on the objects, which is what we want. So let's shade that and compare it to the original. Okay, so you know, if we were going to use a lot of these components, if there were going to be thousands of them in the model, then we could end up with a bit too many 3D faces and triangles in the main model. So you might consider using, you know, maybe a polygon for this and maybe polygons for these as well instead. Okay, the 2D work there is finished with. Let's see if there's any other 2D stuff lying around. Just a line there that we can delete. So you have to be pretty thorough here and get rid of everything, because this is the component that goes into the model. Okay, so let's get rid of any 2D stuff first. Take this away because it's just there for demonstration. So the base point is very important. So let's just ask it what the base point is of this object. So the command is base. Okay, so you can see here the base point is 0, 0, 0. Now, is that in the right place for my model? Let's check. Draw a polyline from 0, 0, 0. Okay, I'm just going to drag that out. Then look at plan view. That very strange noise, by the way, is my cat scratching his cardboard bed thing. He's going to meow at me very soon as well because he'll be wanting some food, but he'll have to wait. Okay, so we've got our setting out point in the correct place, okay, which should be 30 millimeters above the end of the bolts, so that the bolts appear to go through the glass in the construction. So we wouldn't leave that line in because it would upset. It would end up in every single object we bring in. Okay, and that's how you create that object. You don't need to send it away anywhere. You can just save that, and it can be brought in to the other model. And when it's inserted, it will come in facing the right way. It will be effectively kind of perpendicular. Okay, because we've modelled it kind of upwards as if it's like a rocket, but when we place it, we change the word UCS to the front, so when it comes in, it will be rotated already by 90 degrees. So that's the kind of thought process behind making a component. You know, it's the good 2D stuff makes making the component very much easier. Okay, let's move on to the next component, which will be the glass panels.